Hey everyone, welcome back to Knowledge Mondays. I'm your host, Dana Alfirovic, and I'm thrilled to introduce you to our special guest for today, Jim Conroy, the instructor at Trusted Training. Jim, thank you so much for being here today.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So, our theme for February is something a little different. It's safety and self-protection during events, which I'm really excited to have Jim here to share some tips because when we think networking, it's just, communication skills. But I want to go deeper and talk about ways we can protect ourselves during, before, and after the event. So, Jim, my first question to you is what precautions should someone take to stay safe before attending an event, like a networking event or a public gathering, in case of an emergency situation like an active shooter?
Okay. Um, Probably I would say I would consider have I been there before? So like if it's a familiar place, you might know like where the exits are and stuff like that. Um, Probably the crowd. I would take note to, who's there. Are most people smiling? Does everybody fit in with each other with the vibe? Uh, I've been to quite a few of these networking events, and at first I didn't feel like I belonged there. And then looking around the room, everybody does belong there. We're all there for the same things. So I would take stock of who's there and how everybody's interacting with each other. Um, I'd want you to do a little research on the facility itself if you've never been there. Um, can you bring something for protection there? I always suggest someone carry something like mace, like OC spray for personal protection. It's non-lethal and it can buy you a lot of time from someone who gets too close to you. So it's not as permanent as some methods of self-protection. So in the event of maybe like an active shooter or something like that, as it is rare, we do need to prepare ourselves for it. So gaming out that scenario first of what you would do, the one thing you want to avoid is freezing up. It sounds counterintuitive. There's something very scary going on, and you don't want to overthink it because
Mm.
it's never going to be the same scenario. But you want to be able to decipher where it's coming from, if it's inside where you are, if it's outside there, because the last thing you want to do is run outside if that's where it is,
Huh.
and vice versa. So a good clear path to either your vehicle, your exit. Those are strong considerations, as well as the people that you came there with. If you came as a group, especially ladies, try to stay as a group. There's strength in numbers. So I would that would be one of my strong suggestions.
Wow, that's really insightful. Thank you, Jim. And I really didn't think about, yeah, like having a clear path. And also thinking about whether, the gunshots are coming from outside or inside. That's actually like a really good point if they're coming from outside. Like you wouldn't want to run
Yeah.
outside. That's like, thank you for sharing that.
Oh
So
yeah.
let's say you're at an event and you hear gunshots. What should you do in the first 5 to 10 seconds? Could you elaborate some more on what you should do?
So first, I would take stock of myself because you don't think about it, but just a quick check down your body that everything is okay. Nothing is moist. Um, a possibility that if there is somebody shooting, you might be hit. You wouldn't possibly, you might not know it right away. So to physically check yourself real quick. Gather your people together. If you're with a group of people, if you're by yourself, like I said, consider it the difference between a fire drill and a tornado drill. If you remember that in school, the fire drill, we all went outside. So if it's a situation that happens inside, we're going outside to get to safety. If it's a hurricane drill, we're trying to shelter in place. We're not trying to go outside if there's a hurricane out there. If there's a bad guy out there, same thing.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
So, can you elaborate more on, the drill for a tornado and like, a fire drill, like, and how do you decide if you should like run, hide, or fight during like an active shooter situation?
Okay. Those first couple seconds is what decides the next course of action. Indecision is costly. So, like we said, if you freeze, you give up valuable time that you could be making a move. Whether it's the right move or the wrong move, that's what we call the what if game.
Mm,
It's a tough game to win because the situations are always different. I would suggest at the very least, if you have your phone in your hand, turn it on silent. Okay. If your phone is on silent and everybody's down on the floor and there's somebody that's in the room, you want to be as quiet as possible until you don't have to be quiet anymore. Um, if you do have a weapon on you, a personal protection device that's lethal force, um, and you have a opportunity to protect yourself, um, that's what it's there for. It, it, I don't want to encourage uh, any retaliation or anything else like that, but I do want to encourage the safe exit of yourself and calling 911. If you're in a group, delegate, delegate, to the next person. Hey, you call 911, depending on what you carry on you for personal protection. Um, among other things, I also carry a flashlight on me. So if you know, to blind somebody temporarily with a flashlight, if they're close enough and catch them off guard, that could buy you uh, some time in that situation. It it's tough to say what would really be best because it varies, but distance, movement, and if you have to confront them with the best case scenario of whatever you do have. If
mm,
that's a bar stool, um, that's the best thing you have. If it's years of training of self-protection or martial arts or any one of those things, that's why you did it. That's why you've trained. And I would encourage most folks to train for a situation like that, a couple times a year. Uh, Perhaps if you're at an event and someone comes too close to you, what what would you do in that situation? Somebody makes you feel uncomfortable, and then kind of um, ratchet up the situation as time goes on. Eventually working towards something as stressful as an active shooter situation. If we just train for it today and we've never experienced it or never trained for it, it's going to be pretty tough to be good at it. But
mm,
with time and those baby steps of different scenarios leading up to that, it could really suit you very well. We were at the Concord Christmas tree lighting when there was a couple kids that got involved in a scuffle, and they both had firearms. And when they tried to shoot each other, everybody scattered. Everybody
mm,
went every which direction, and nobody was making much consideration for other people. So, in a situation like that, it being the first time that we were involved in that as a family, it was a little stressful because it wasn't just me. It was all the people in the world that I love in one group, and there's something very stressful and scary going on. So, um, what we did in that situation, we assessed the situation real quick. Sounds like it's coming from behind us. We're moving forward then, and we're going to go to our vehicle. So we made our way to our vehicle, and I would I would encourage most people to do the same thing. If they're involved in something like that, find your best exit, um, and take care of yourself. Take care of yourself first. Take care of your loved ones first, and then help others if you have the opportunity. That could be, like I said, calling 911. That could be rendering aid to somebody, moving them out of the way. It could be a number of things.
Wow. And I just want to reiterate what Jim said. So everyone pay attention. This is very important. He mentioned that, in this situation, you want to assess where the sound is coming from. Like if it's coming from behind you, you want to move forward. If it's coming, in front of you, you want to move, the other way. So that's really important, everyone. So take note of that. And thank you for sharing that, Jim, because I didn't really think about that. I mean, you try to like look for, the shooter, but if it's like a really big crowd like that, you might not see them. So that's really important, like trying to hear where the sound is coming from. So that was actually my next question, by the way, about whether you should, like help others, or do you just like focus on yourself, like selfish, or how do you determine that? Let's say if it's you're at, an event, it's just you, there's other people there, but you don't have any like strong relationship with them. Do you just like kind of focus on yourself? And how do you know like when you're safe, like when it's okay to administer aid to someone else without like putting yourself in harm's way?
So, because I don't want to assume something, do you
Hmm.
have any like prior training with like self-protection or martial arts or anything like that? Or like maybe medical help?
Me personally?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
Okay. All right. So I want to take it from your perspective then.
Just your
So,
average,
yep. So
probably your average person,
mhm.
honestly.
So if I'm there, like you said, a great word, be selfish. Okay. You have to be able to take care of yourself before you can help anybody else. I want to make sure that, if I'm Dana, I'm safe, and then at that point I can make a phone call. I can, render help. There's so many things that I can do that once I'm safe, I can actually do them. I can be the good Samaritan if the situation allows it. Um, Calling 911 is an overlooked thing. Some people freeze and they think other people are going to do it. And they figure, well, there's so many people here. I'm sure someone's already doing it. Don't assume. Um, it's very easy to call, mention the location that you're at, that there is, an active situation, a shooter, whatever have you. Um, even if it's somebody that's, maybe just acting reckless, we might think, oh, I don't want to call the cops. Well, it's a fine line between someone who's willing to do something and someone who's going to do something. So the difference
Mhm.
is time and all that. So buy yourself some time if you know a situation is heading that way. If it's an active shooter situation where, you know, 1 second, you know, you just start hearing shooting, at that point, get to safety however best possible. Like I said, phone on silent. Don't shut it off. Phone on silent. So that way, if somebody rings, somebody calls, it doesn't give away where you are. Um, and
Mhm.
that's a resource that you have to keep with you. Once you get to safety, that's going to be your way to help other people. And in a situation like that, if you find that there's someone that's needing aid or um, uh, basically paralyzed with fear, that's what we noticed on our way back to our vehicle. Um, there was several people that were just kind of spinning around saying, I can't believe this is happening, just standing there. So they were frozen with fear. That's definitely something that you want to avoid. Um, movement, movement, get out of that situation. Like your life depends on it. Because I don't want to sound cliche, but if there's an active shooter situation, you don't belong there. Um, you need to get out. So don't delay.
Wow, I have like goosebumps. This is really, an intense conversation, but no, I'm really glad we're having this. So, what's one simple thing people can do to ensure, they're a little more safe going to these events without living their life in fear? Because I don't want people to live in fear, but I just want them to, know a few more strategies to be safer.
Uh, I agree with you. I don't want folks to think that that type of stuff happens in our local communities that much. It is very rare. That's why we react the way that we do. If it happened all the time and we experienced it all the time, we wouldn't have the reactions that we do. So, although it's very quick and very violent, we do have to understand it's kind of like a plane crash. It's so many transactions, so many times that, when a plane does crash, it's terrible. But I mean, it's bound to happen with enough flights. I would recommend people have someone challenge you. So, um, in our lives, we have spouses, we have friends, relatives, sometimes even neighbors is a good thing to challenge them to have these conversations of, hey, what would you do? If I go over to my neighbor's house and they know that I'm Jim and what I do, they pick my brain all the time. Hey, what should I do with this situation? What should I do with that? My first question to them is, what would you do? Because it's what they would want to do, but we don't know if it's what they would actually do. Uh,
Hmm.
game that situation out of, okay, if I'm at work and something happens, where's my exits? How do I get out of here? If I'm at the grocery store where I usually go, where do I get out of here? What happens if the main exit is blocked? If I'm at a networking event and it's packed,
Hmm.
those events, if you've never been to one, join Dana at an event. She holds them
Thank
fairly,
you. Yeah.
so I mean, they are packed. So there's not a whole lot of room to move around as it is, and you're kind of mingling with everybody already. So it's kind of like when you're at a concert and everybody's kind of huddled together. Um, like you said before, find your path out of there, like as immediately as possible. And time is precious. Time is precious. I would not waste any time. Um, with the thought of, I can't believe this is happening to me. It's happening, whether we want to or not. And
Mhm.
the best way to prepare for it is to have a mindset of, I hope this never happens. Um, I hope it never happens to anybody that I love. But if it does, this is my course of action. We fall back to our lowest form of training. And for most of us, that's zero. So the last thing we want to do is freeze up
Mhm.
and, just become a stationary target for somebody. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Getting over a
Oh,
cold.
yeah. No worries. Thank you. So I have this will be my last question. Just it kind of came to my mind. You mentioned let's say, you're in, maybe a restaurant or something. There's like one entrance or one like, the main
Yeah,
entrance,
the
and
main one.
your shooter comes in that entrance. What do you do? And like you don't see any other exits around, any, like
Yeah, any viable exits.
yeah. And there
Okay.
might be one, but you don't see the other exits.
Hmm. Yeah. So most places that we go to, it's not just a hall. Excuse me. It's not just a hall where people just meet. So there's, a lobby, a kitchen in some cases. Um, there is a way, there's a stock room, there is a bar. There's ways to put distance between you and that bad person. The best distance, like we said, is going through that door. But if he's in the way, and he's blocking that exit, it might be confrontation. It might be um, being a little creative. It might be, me grabbing a bar stool and chucking it to the right, and I try to sprint past him on the left if I don't have any means of protection on myself. Um,
Distraction.
yeah,
That's a good technique.
yeah, yeah. Because I mean, that might buy myself some time. It might also buy other people some time. Um, Ultimately, depending on the situation, it might be somebody that, could be overtaken um, if that person is rushed. Um,
Mm.
there's good data out there for, people returning fire when there's a bad guy with a gun. Uh, Sometimes there's also a good guy with a gun there, and that's what we train for to save our own lives. Um, I tell folks that I don't want to train them to go out and be vigilantes and fight crime and everything else. But the law is very clear that we protect our lives when we feel it's in danger of death. So if somebody presents that to me in a room full of other people, and they're blocking that exit to where nobody can get out, I I, I kind of feel like, it's the best course of action to stop that person however necessary, however possible to stop them. So that, like I said, that might be going outside calling for police. That might be, you know, being creative in the situation. Um, I mean, if we're at a bar, I'm huck a bottle of, liquor at this person. Uh,
Yes, they're
what
good.
do we have? Everything, the law considers everything a weapon if you use it that way. So like this would be an assault phone if I threw it and hit somebody with it. So probably not the best versus Mr. Bad Guy. But I'm sure you catch my drift of there's tools for the job, and sometimes we have to improvise if we don't have those tools on us. I make strong considerations to where I go because I carry a firearm every day. So I don't want to break the law and go someplace where my firearm is not welcome by law. So I
Mm.
genuinely try not to patronize places like that. But in the state that we're in, if there's no sign on the door and there's nothing made, no contact made to us to not bring it in, we're welcome to bring it in because anytime someone's seen me out in public, I have it on me, and they wouldn't know otherwise, and that's what we look for. Um, we can see the bad guy with a gun on the news a lot, but we don't see the good guys and females that protect themselves day in and day out that nobody ever knows because there's no reason to ever tell.
Wow. Thank you, Jim. This has been really enlightening. So, if folks want to learn more about you and the type of trainings you offer, where could they find you?
So our company name is Trusted Training LLC. We have our website that trustedtrainingllc.com, and we have every major social, so TikTok and um, Facebook and Instagram. And we stay pretty active on Facebook, post about our monthly range nights, our class schedules, where we do the North Carolina concealed carry permit classes, as well as a couple other refresher classes, and we do like private lessons and stuff like that. So
Great. Well, thank you everyone again so much for watching. And again, this is not to, instill fear in anyone, but this is, important educational material. So thank you guys so much for listening. If you found this helpful, please make sure to share it and tag friends because by doing so, you could save someone's life. That's how important this conversation is. So please, please spread the word.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yes.
so much, everyone. Bye now. And thank you, Jim,
Thank
again.
you.